Thrilled to have Elizabeth Banks here on the Rich Eisen Show. I'm Suzy Shuster, of course, in for Rich while he is glowing with Tokyo Gold. And Liz, I'm so happy that you came on because he's wanted you to come on before, and I like to consistently outbook my husband. So, by the way, don't ever do the show without me. Just tell Rich no.
It's so funny. I thought the exact same thing when you were like, let's just get on and chat this week. And I thought, oh man, Rich is really going to blow a gasket when he figures out that I came on for you and not for him.
Well, I said, Liz is calling in. He's like, you're kidding. I'm like, yeah. He's like, I think I've asked her a couple times. I'm like, yeah, she doesn't want to go on with you.
Not true. I love Rich. That's not true.
Go on with you, Rich.
But it's just worked out, It partially has worked out because I'm in Ireland currently, as you know, so I'm 8 hours ahead of you. So I'm relaxed. I'm having a glass of wine or a can of wine, and I'm chill. And normally he's like, "Can you get up early during like kids' school drop off and talk to me on the podcast?" I'm like, "No, I can't. I don't know how to do that."
And the answer is no. By the way, I also think that having a cocktail on hand enhances the experience. So tomorrow, when we have you and Bob Costas on, I'm having a mimosa, because when I think of Bob Costas, I think of Elizabeth Banks. It's like a natural sense, right?
That's so sweet because he is like a legend.
He is.
And especially with the Olympics happening, what a fun booking.
Just so you know, the good news is this. He requested to come on with me. Whatever, Rich. Tokyo Gold, whatever. Just saying. I mean, we just know wherever. We know where the bread is buttered in this family. Okay, a couple questions for you. As a masshole,
yes,
because you are just like me, a masshole.
Hold on.
To me, if you're born there, you have to know sports, or they chuck you out.
Oh yeah.
So, what is your earliest experience with sports as a masshole?
Me playing sports or like going? I mean, anything. Knowing it. Well, I mean, my dad was my softball coach and still is an umpire in our town. He's been umpiring little league and softball and high school games for going on 30 years. He keeps threatening to retire and he still hasn't retired. So, baseball was my family's kind of first true love. But what's interesting about where I'm from, which is Western Massachusetts, unlike you, we live on the border of New York. And growing up, the sports radio, because remember, growing up, you would listen to ball games on the radio. That's how you listened to so much back in the day. And so my dad grew up listening to radio sports out of Albany, New York, not Boston. And so he is actually a Yankees fan. And my mom, who's from Boston proper, is of course a Red Sox fan. So I have two huge, ginormous families. So very much Red Sox, Yankees, like always went to Fenway, but also went to Yankee Stadium. So I grew up with like loving Darryl Strawberry. Like my sister grew up loving Don Mattingly, right? So it's like we played both sides my whole life. So baseball is sort of that was the primary sport in our family. And then because my dad was not really a Pats fan either, because his favorite player was Johnny Unitas.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yeah. So he is very interesting. We did a lot of college sports, and my dad still tailgates at like Williams College, which I think is like Division 3 or something.
Division 17.
Yeah, it's barely a blip but he just loves the culture of it. And in Western Mass, like that's the best we're going to do. And then obviously I grew up with the Celtics. I grew up with the Bruins. I mean, we have an amazing sports legacy where we're from, as you obviously talk about a lot on the show. And then, the Patriots, I mean, I can't, it's wild what's happened in my adult life, right? To the Patriots. It's been a wild ride.
But then how do you rationalize the Patriots? And then of course your husband,
yes,
is the Fly Eagles Fly guy. So who gets the teams in your family? The boys root for who?
Okay. Well, right now, because we're raising little boys in Los Angeles, California, we are actually trying to become a Rams family.
Okay.
It's very hard going. I'm not going to lie about it. It's not going easily. It's not easy I'm not there yet.
Nope.
I'm not sure my husband's there yet, but we're trying. We're going to attempt. Like, we can't do Dodgers and we can't do Lakers. It's not going to happen. My husband's from Portland, Oregon. He's Trailblazers till death. That's all he cares about are the Portland Trailblazers. I got for his birthday this year, we've been together a really long time, like you and Rich, and it's always hard to figure out how to surprise somebody for their birthday when you've been together this long. What's the good gift? And this year, I thought, you know what? I'm going to get Damian Lillard to DM him happy birthday on Instagram.
That's amazing. And did you get it?
I sure did.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
I did it. And the best was we were in different time zones when it happened. And I DM'd Damian Lillard I slipped into the DMs on Instagram and I was like, hey, this is so crazy, but if I've ever made you laugh at anything, maybe you'll do me this favor. And he's like, yeah, girl. He really literally DM'd me, I got you. And then I woke up the next morning to a text from my husband, Max, saying, did you do this? Was this you? What the hell happened? How does he know it's my birthday? and he sent me the screen grab of Damian Lillard's happy birthday thing. And then actually they went back and forth a little bit. So we actually had a conversation. Anyway, that made his life. So, anyway, we love sports in our family.
And
we're trying to do Rams. We'll see.
I know your husband and I know he's not wanting for anything. That's the kind of thing that a guy would get giddy about. Like, just get like kind of like little girlish about, like, it's Dave.
Yes. I was thrilled that I could make it happen for him. As you know, it's like he has, what do I get him? He has me. So
lucky bastard. Tell me who was your inspiration for Gail Abernathy-McKadden Jewish
Feinberger?
Yeah, Feinberger.
Who was my inspiration? Honestly, we watched Dodgeball and I loved the idea. It was the SNL guys like Jason Sudeikis doing like commentary with Will Forte on SNL.
Right.
Just the idea. We watched a lot of videos of like golf commentators trying to make things interesting. And what's interesting here in Ireland, where I am right now, I just watched the tennis and Wimbledon. And Bjorn Borg is one of the announcers here, right? So we're not gifted with that. We get John McEnroe and Mary and all these people. Beyond that, he was incredible. Like, just absolutely incredible. The bombs that he drops and just like the silly nature with which he approached the entire thing. It's that you're a critic of something that you actually could never really do. And so it's about that. It's about how do you watch something and criticize it or commentate on it when there's no chance that you could ever live up to the standard that you have set for the people that you're watching doing the thing that you're doing. And that is absurd in and of itself.
It's kind of like the Olympics in a way, when we're watching all these sports that we would never dream in a million years of participating in. With Tokyo, watching this on Peacock, because of course we're on Peacock, we're watching all these sports that we would never try, like the 13-year-old skateboarders, which, by the way, are you kidding me? 13.
And the girls, they were amazing.
Kicking ass in cuffed cargos and having their phones in their pockets. And I was watching the swimming medley last night with Taylor, and she said, Mom, they're still going. I'm like, yeah, you have no idea how much that hurts your lungs right now.
Oh, but I have to say, Summer Olympics for me are always a little bit like, I like watching like badminton and table tennis and thinking, like, I can't swim. Are you kidding me? Like, I like that there's a couple sports where like you don't have to have a body for sports. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just had to have started, you had to get your 10,000 hours in, you had to just have like done it. There's something about the devotion to like badminton and skeet shooting and things where I'm like, you know what, actually, like, you can still eat a cheeseburger every once in a while, and like compete in badminton.
But what
so
about
I don't know.
Craziness? What about the craziness of the serves on table tennis? It's really it's troubling to watch. They're contorting in strange ways that don't exist in a normal table tennis environment.
But it's the quickness of it. It's how fast it goes. That is absolutely amazing to me. I mean, everything, you can't keep your eye on it. I don't know how they do it. I really don't.
I'm saying you haven't lived if you haven't watched Rich do a 3.5-minute archery highlight.
I got to get in there. I got to get on the Peacock and start watching the Rich archery highlights.
By the way, it's Tokyo Gold, and it's daily here on Peacock. And by the way, the thing with your Gail thing, too, is it makes you, if you're an announcer or a broadcaster, kind of want to talk like this.
I didn't do, that goes all the way, that goes way back. I mean, Howard Cosell with the voice, he always had like the sports voice that I thought, well, when he's just sitting around having a beer, he can't talk like this. You know what I mean? Like, what is the vocal contortion of presentational commentary? That's what John Michael Higgins and I are always trying to emulate.
Oh my God. And we love it. And as you know, that movie is on repeat in my house.
Yeah.
Daily, weekly, monthly. Let's talk about My Body, My Podcast, because I do love this because, I did the Lakers podcast. Podcasts are fun. You can sit in your pajamas. You can interview somebody. They think you're dressed and ready to go. And you're really just, your feet are up on your living room table. But I love the idea that you're finally doing one because it's something that means something to you. So why My Body, My Podcast?
I had been approached to do a podcast and I thought I want to do something more autobiographical. I wanted to tell stories, honestly. And I wanted to talk about formative moments in my life that I felt were relatable to everyone across, like, it just doesn't matter when it happened to you. And it turns out, actors, we have to meet new people all the time. Every job is new. Every set of people is new. You very rarely go to the same set, unless you're on a television show for a long time, which is not my experience yet. You're constantly interacting with new people and you have to get deep with those people fast. And you have to bond and trust them really fast. And so ultimately you almost always end up telling what I like to call, I actually piss, poop, and vomit stories.
Okay.
Can I say those words on your show?
Say that here. I said butt hugger on the show yesterday. So
okay, great. So, but also it's a lot of it is like your puberty stories, like your first times, and what I realized in doing that storytelling is, and bringing people into that tent, I've always, and as you know me, because I'm one of your girlfriends, your gal pals, I'm very open with all that stuff. And I would say that this is the most personal thing I've ever done as an artist, because it's very much about storytelling, bringing people into a conversation versus the podcast where it's like you interview somebody about, their first time, they're this or that, the other. I just felt like I wanted to almost create something that was like chapters of a book and take advantage of the very personal nature of podcasts, which is you're in someone's ear and you're inviting them into a conversation. Things that I've spoken to my best girls about for years and years and years. I thought, can other people relate to this? And can we invite them into this conversation and talk about very taboo subject matter, which I think helps people lead a better life. So one of the main themes of the podcast is that our sex, sexuality, gender, all of those things, they're very siloed off by our culture, but in fact, they are part of our holistic, long-term health, mental, physical, everything. Like your pleasure, your loves, your physical body, your sense of safety, all of that matters to your long-term. And we talk to especially kids and friends about everything but that stuff. You never ask about like, well, what's going on in the bedroom, or how you doing with menopause, or how you doing with your period? Like, no one says period on podcasts. And so I was like, well, I want to talk about that stuff.
Well, of course you do.
So, yeah, of course I do. And it's all about stigma and taking it away from all of those topics. And so I offer a lot of my own personal experiences and then talk to a lot of experts about how they either messed me up or contributed to my ongoing happiness and mental health.
I'm curious about whether it's more important for you to do this because you are the mother of two boys too. And I know how you are about raising them to be men and boys, but sensitive to their role in society and how they look at women.
Absolutely. I felt like, I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old. And I know you know this from your kids too. Like puberty it's around the corner and I am not prepared.
Yep.
And I realized that I was not prepared. And I thought, how do I arm myself with some tools? And how do I explore what happened to me at those ages? And really and be honest about it, be honest about like being a sexual being young and early and being aware of things younger and earlier. And the internet is not making our job any easier. It's only making our job harder. And it really felt to me that this was something that I could do not just for myself, but to become a better mom and to become a better human and to understand sort of what the landscape was going to look like for me in talking to my kids. So I really got some incredibly valuable tools to take forward and that I want to bring into my community too. I mean, with all of my relationships, all I've been talking about now is like, boys are, looking at, they might well be watching sports, but they're also watching porn. Are we all clear on this? Like when this is happening and what's going on and how do we get ahead of it, and be shame free about everything that's happening too, because that to me is the most important thing is how do we talk about it without stigma and shame.
Elizabeth Banks joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show, My Body, My Podcast, available on Audible on July 29th. I would be remiss before you go. It is today the 20th anniversary of Wet Hot American Summer. Just saying. Do you have any idea what you were getting into when you showed up for that movie?
We wanted to make a cult classic because we were all obsessed with Richard Linklater and we were obsessed with Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And we were, we wanted to make that. We thought like, this is a coming of age story that could be like a cult classic. And I mean, it was so culty that like 4 people saw it when it came out, but 20 years on, it is in fact a cult classic. So we did accomplish the thing I think that we all hoped we were going to do, which is kind of amazing.
When's the last time you saw it?
The original?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I've seen pieces of it. I have not watched it, head to tail in a very long time.
I mean, bananas. Think about it. It's Paul Rudd. It's Bradley Cooper in his first movie.
Me and Bradley, our first movie. Yeah.
It's your first movie too?
Yeah. Bradley and I is our first movie. We met on that movie. Amy Poehler, Paul Rudd, but even Janine Garofalo and David Hyde Pierce and Molly Shannon, were all like names then. I remember when we were making the movie that Paul Rudd, who had done Clueless, and I think he'd been like a guest star on Friends a little bit, but it wasn't like happening yet. He got to be on the cover of Interview magazine. Ooh. And we all bought it and we like put pictures, we put the cover up like everywhere. Like we were so happy and jealous and excited and like all the feelings of like, oh my God, Paul, like you're making it, And I remember he was like, I think he went to Asia to do like a kung fu movie or something that like wasn't even in English. Like, it's like, I can't really get a job. And now he's Paul Rudd and he's Ant-Man and it is what it is. So we could see, it was really fun to see it happening. Like then, Amy getting SNL and like just being able to root for people. 80 Miles, who's in the movie, he ended up being the head writer of Jimmy Fallon for years. So these guys they were all, not to mention David Wayne and Michael Showalter and Michael Ian Black, who were obviously icons, especially in New York because of everything they had done and their sketch comedy and Stella and the whole thing. So it's been a really fun ride.
I wonder if you could even make that movie today.
I hope so. I mean, I think you can definitely make movies that feel culty and exciting. And I'm always trying to discover really cool new people. I mean, Pitch Perfect was a bunch of unknowns. Anna Kendrick was the only name in the entire movie. We cast around her and and found a bunch of, unlikely heroines. And I think that is possible. People love to discover new talent and they like to root for underdogs. And that is what was at the heart of Wet Hot American Summer.
Well, it's great. The timing was perfect. I'm thrilled to plug the podcast because I think it's so important. And come home already. I'm kind of bored of being gone forever. But when you get back, we're going to crack some Archeroos.
Yes.
And, watch Wet Hot American Summer.
All right, thank you. I love you. I love you guys. I love Rich too. I hope he's having fun talking about Tokyo Gold.
Tokyo Gold, everybody. I think you have to say the word everybody after it because it just feels a lot better. It just feels a lot better. I'll send you a link.
A lot of pressure, though, for the Americans to actually have the most gold, right?
Well, yeah, because it's American to have more.
Yeah, we need the most. We have to actually be the winningest. So I don't know. I'm suddenly like, currently today, we're not leading in the medal tally, but I'm sure soon enough we'll be Tokyo Gold 24/7.
Well, tune into Tokyo Gold tomorrow on Peacock, and you'll see Rich Eisen do a 75-minute archery highlight. It'll be great.
Yes.
It's my audition for Pitch Perfect 7, just so you know. All right. Love you, kid. Say hi to Max.
Love you too, babe. I can't wait to actually see you in person. Kisses, kisses.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.